Hello and welcome to the Windows Virtual Desktop Masterclass. In this event, the Windows Virtual Desktop product team, global black belts, and other teams in Microsoft, as well as members of our community, are coming together to share tips and best practices for deploying and scaling virtual desktops and remote applications on Azure. Now, you can ask any question in the chat window at any time during this event. And while this event is primarily for organizations who are already using Windows Virtual Desktop, if you're new to it, we have a migration session and a hands-on lab coming up later in the event that will give you an overview of the service. Now, we do have limited seats for the hands-on lab, so if you're interested, be sure to sign up soon at aka.ms/WVD Masterclass-HOL. All right, let's get started. So I'm joined by Kam, who leads the Windows Virtual Desktop product team. Welcome, Kam.
Thanks, Jeremy. It's really great to be here today at our first Windows Virtual Desktop Masterclass.
Right. So 2020 has placed a lot of demands on remote work infrastructure, and Windows Virtual Desktop has been a key enabler for secure remote work. But what did you see in terms of adoption?
Adoption in the service has really been humbling. We have seen organizations across industries and across every geography take on using Windows Virtual Desktop to help enable remote work. And the number of use cases that we've seen folks use in their deployments is really exciting, from frontline workers to students to financial services, healthcare, you name it. There's really been a great diversity in how people are using the service. Another thing that's been interesting about adoption has been the scale and speed that folks have shown in taking on using the service. There's a few examples of customers who've been successful with Windows Virtual Desktop on the screen now, and there's a link at the bottom of the slide for folks who are interested in learning more. If your organization has not started using Windows Virtual Desktop, if you're still using remote desktop services on-prem, you can really get a lot of value out of moving to Windows Virtual Desktop. We did a study with Forrester recently to understand what that value picture looks like. And we discovered that organizations can see a return on investment of 210% when they deploy Windows Virtual Desktop. There's a 34% cost savings just on licensing and infrastructure alone. And then when you look into things like managing the deployment and the overall kind of cost of ownership and operations, there's a 59% cost savings there going from RDS to WVD. So some really great value for customers who've taken on the service.
All right, but given the fast pace of implementation, what were some of the common hurdles that people came across?
As organizations have been really rapidly shifting to remote work using Windows Virtual Desktop, there were some key challenges that they faced. And we've really invested to help with those challenges. The first area is around making the service easier to deploy and manage. And earlier in the year, last year, we started by investing in integration with the Azure portal and Azure Resource Manager so that it was really a first-class citizen experience and a natural experience for organizations that are building on Azure to deploy Windows Virtual Desktop. And our partnerships with Citrix and VMware have been really helpful for customers who are migrating their on-prem deployments and help those customers seamlessly deploy into Citrix and VMware's environment on Azure. And then finally, we invested in a quick start, which gives you that kind of one-click deployment experience so you can get up and running in just a few minutes using Azure DevOps to automate the deployment process. From a security and management perspective, we've invested in integration with Microsoft Endpoint Manager and Azure Security Center. And we've also really focused on optimizing the end user experience. We've made a ton of improvements in the RDP protocol and updates to the clients themselves across every platform. I think we've shipped over 47 improvements in just 6 months. And then we've also focused on improving the conferencing experience with Windows Virtual Desktop. So if you're using Microsoft Teams, you can use Microsoft Teams with Windows Virtual Desktop and have a very natural video conferencing experience using the service. And for folks that are using Zoom and WebEx, the optimizations for those services are out in preview as well.
All right, but we have a lot of people probably joining us from around the world today. So what's the current global coverage then look like?
We have optimizations for Windows Virtual Desktop deployed in every Azure geography, and the service is available in every Azure region. And we're building out our footprint of optimizations more and more every day. Wherever we see usage growth, we deploy control plane optimizations in those regions so that customers in any region who are taking on the service will have a great experience using it.
So it's nice to see all these updates that were made throughout 2020. But what are some of the recent updates then that you and the team have been working on since our last major milestone at Ignite in September?
So there's been a lot of really exciting stuff going out the door since Ignite. The first thing I would want to tell people about is a promo offer that we have for new customers of Windows Virtual Desktop that gives you 30% off on D series and B series virtual machines for up to 90 days. And you can learn more about that offer in the link below. It's aka.ms/WVD offer. We've also been working hard to help organizations build their skills using Windows Virtual Desktop. This has been a real top priority for us. And I'm happy to announce that we're going to have a new certification coming for Windows Virtual Desktop. The beta exam for that certification will be out in just a couple months. And then finally, if you need help from partners in getting your Windows Virtual Desktop deployment up and running, we have an advanced specialization program for partners that complements the Azure MSP program. And this allows you to choose a partner that has verified capability and a partner that has deep expertise. So you can be confident that the help you're getting with Windows Virtual Desktop is really going to work well for you. In terms of product updates, we've also made a ton of progress since Ignite. The first thing I want to share here is our integration with Azure Monitor. So Azure Monitor for Windows Virtual Desktop gives you a 360 view of the health of your deployment. You can take a look at utilization, you can set alerts, you can act on user feedback. There's lots of really rich stuff here. And this is in preview now. So this is something you're going to want to check out. We've also delivered in preview MSIX App Attach support for Windows Virtual Desktop. So with this update, app layering is now a first-class citizen in the service. And this massively simplifies the work of OS image management when you're running a virtualized environment. You can keep your OS images separate from your applications, and they will dynamically attach to a user session when they sign in. And so you don't have to worry about keeping your OS images in sync with your app images. You can manage them each separately. And that's a major simplifier when you're running the service. This is also in preview. And so it's another thing you're going to want to take a look at. From a security perspective, we've also built out screen scraping protection. And this is in preview for Windows clients using Windows Virtual Desktop. And this is a great feature for organizations that are using the information rights management capability that's built into Microsoft Office. And then the other thing on the user experience perspective is RDP Short Path. And with RDP Short Path, we really improve the responsiveness in the user experience for customers that are connecting to their environment using a VPN connection. And this is great for advanced scenarios like using engineering applications or design applications. We've heard from customers that have seen round trip times improve from 30 milliseconds down to 10 milliseconds when they deploy RDP Short Path. So a real win from a responsiveness and latency perspective. Finally, Microsoft Defender for endpoint support for Windows Virtual Desktop is now generally available. You get the cyber telemetry, the full investigation experience, including advanced hunting that you get with Windows 10, now with Windows Virtual Desktop virtual machines. This also supports up to 50 concurrent users if you're using Windows 10 Enterprise Multi-Session. So you get the cost savings from multi-session with the confidence from Microsoft Defender.
Okay, so a lot of people watching are probably current users of Windows Virtual Desktop, but what advice would you give them if they're already using it?
A lot of people are on a great path with Windows Virtual Desktop. So if you're already using the service, there are some great ways you can further optimize your environment. First, from a security perspective, we have this shared security model with Windows Virtual Desktop where we do a degree of work in the components ourselves, but then organizations have some things that they need to do to customize the security for their deployment for what makes sense for their use case. And Azure provides really great tools to secure your deployment that let you look across identity, storage, networking, and the VMs themselves so that you can really get the right level of security for what you're doing. We have a best practices guide that you can take a look at that will guide you through the process. From a cost perspective, once you have a good idea of your usage patterns, it's time to start looking at how to provision your resources optimally. You can scale infrastructure based on your needs using Azure Automation. And this really helps you take advantage of the pay-as-you-go pricing model that we have on Azure. From an operations perspective, it's good to take a look at our Azure Monitor integration. This is in preview, and it really helps you manage the health of your deployment. And this is also where tools like Microsoft Endpoint Manager start to come in to really help you manage the experience end-to-end, so you can manage both the environment and the experience with these things together. And we're going to have even more advances on this front in the year ahead. We have sessions today on all of these topics and more.
Okay, sounds great. And I love the demonstrations that you just showed. But as we head into the next phase in 2021, what are you and the Windows Virtual Desktop team working on for the coming months?
Well, we keep focusing on the core areas of security, user experience, and scalability and cost optimization. All of the investments we're making are really driven by the amazing feedback we've gotten from organizations around the world who are adopting the service. And so you should expect to see more features in each of these areas in the year ahead. We're also working really closely with our partners like Citrix, VMware, and many more to open up the service to more use cases and provide customers with solutions outside some of the core areas that the service supports on its own.
Thanks so much, Kam. And also thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching this first session of the Windows Virtual Desktop Masterclass. Now, we've got an action-packed agenda, so keep watching and enjoy the rest of the event.